Good morning. I call this meeting to order of the Board of County Commissioners here in Sweetwater County. Lovely day. And it's been a few hours since I've seen all of you, so it's good to be back with you once again. Quorum is present. We have all 5 commissioners here in chambers with us this morning. If you would please join me, rise and for the Pledge of Allegiance and for a moment of silence afterwards. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Commissioners, we have an agenda presented. What is your pleasure with that agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'll make motion to approve the agenda as presented.
thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ooh, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Thank you. We have minutes from the May 17th.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would make a motion to approve those minutes.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on those minutes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just to make a note that I talked with Sally ahead of time, there's a typo on page 7 under for the good of the order, and she fixed it, but we don't need to amend the
Perfect.
amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? We have minutes from our May 31st special meeting regarding salaries for elected officials. What's your pleasure with those minutes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
make a motion to approve the minutes of 5/31/2022 special meeting.
thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. On to tab B, the approval of our bills, EALs, bonds, monthly reports, and hospital maintenance expenditures. What is your pleasure, Commissioner?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'd move that we approve the acceptance of the bills, which of course that you've already said, but I'll repeat it. The approval of the ELs, the approval of the bonds, approval of the monthly reports, and the approval of the hospital maintenance expenditures as presented.
thank you. We have a motion, and repetition is the mother of all learning, so we'll just keep doing it. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Sorry, was there something there? Nope. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Thank you. Tab C, budget amendments and some public hearings. Bonnie Berry here with us.
Good morning,
Tell us the
Chairman
story.
and Commissioners. We have 4 budget amendments this morning, which is not uncommon for this time of year. The first one is Resolution 22-06-CL-01. This is a Sweetwater County budget amendment. This increases the expenditures in the general fund in the IT department operating budget in the amount of $2,000. It decreases the expenditures in the general fund in the IT department payroll budget by $2,000. So we're just moving $2,000 from payroll to operating in the IT department because it is just a tiny bit short in that operating budget. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Just a reminder, this does need to be opened up to the public before it can be voted on.
Questions for Ms. Berry? In that case, we will open a public hearing for resolution 22-06-CL-01. Any comments regarding this resolution? Any comments regarding this resolution? We will close the hearing. And Commissioners, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 22-06-CL-01 for $2,000 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion to be had? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. Back to you, Ms. Berry.
Our second budget amendment is resolution 22-06-CL-02. This is a Sweetwater County budget amendment to increase the expenditures in the general fund in the clerk of district court operating by $15,000 and decrease the expenditures in the general fund clerk of district court payroll by $15,000. So we are moving $15,000 from the clerk of district court's payroll into the clerk of district court's operating. This is due to increased or over budget professional services. And then also there was a jury trial that was paid out about a month ago that up those expenses. And then also Donnelly is here in case you have any additional questions for her. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, or Donnelly would be happy to answer any questions too before this is opened up to the public.
Questions for the dynamic duo? Then I will open this for a public hearing on resolution 22-06-CL-02. We're now open for any public comments. Any comments? And we'll close the hearing. Commissioners, what is your pleasure on resolution 22-06-CL-02?
Chairman,
Yes,
I would make that motion.
to approve it?
Yes.
Sweet. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the resolution? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. Back to you, Ms. Berry.
All right, resolution, the third one. Resolution 22-06-CL-03 is a Sweetwater County budget amendment to increase the expenditures in the general fund in the fire marshal operating budget in the amount of $11,974. It decreases the expenditures in the general fund and fire marshal payroll in the amount of $11,974. So this budget amendment moves $11,974 from the payroll to the operating within the fire marshal department. This budget amendment is due to the Rosenbauer cancellation fee. Are there
Thank you.
any questions before we open this up to the public?
Questions? Then we'll open this up for a public hearing, resolution 22-06-CL-03. We'll take any comments on this resolution. Talk at a bunch today. Any comments? Okay, we'll close the hearing. And commissioners, what is your pleasure on resolution 22-06-CL-03?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would move that we accept resolution 22-06-CL-03 as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion regarding this resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. Let's do it again, Ms. Berry. It's been
All
fun.
right, last one for today. Resolution 22-06-CL-04 is a Sweetwater County budget amendment. This budget amendment increases the entire budget for the events complex by $562,659 to increase the total budget to $4,452,920. This budget amendment, the reason we have to do this, as you know, the events complex is a component unit of the county, not a department. And by Wyoming State Statute 16-4-111, it requires the Board of County Commissioners to authorize any departure from the adopted budget for any boards that are appointed by the county commissioners. So that would be the events complex. So just to clarify for both you, the board, and the public, the events complex is not asking for any more money. This is simply to improve their total expenditures for the year, the increase in their total expenditure budget for the year. So they are not asking for any more money from the county. The reason for this budget amendment is because they completed the water well project that was not budgeted for, and the exhibit hall front facade improvements. And then also Candy is here to address any other questions that you may have. And that is all I have for you. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this, as
Thank
well as
you.
Candy would. And then this will need to be opened up to the public also for a public
Thank
hearing.
you. So the real question, obviously it's not increasing, but does it decrease their budget? That's the real question. Questions for Ms. Berry or Ms. Pendleton? And we will open resolution 22-06-CL-04 for a public hearing. Any comments? Any comments? And we will close the public hearing. And commissioners, what is your pleasure with resolution 22-06-CL-04?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 22-06-CL-04 as presented.
thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I would second that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners.
Thanks, Bonnie.
On to tab D, planning and zoning public hearing included in this one as well. Eric Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're here today to certify the federal lands and resource plan. I also have Miss Connie Brooks, who's available online. We've had several hearings with this. We actually had the Planning and Zoning Commission worked a total of 6 hours and with workshops and hearings to complete this plan. And we appreciate all the work that they've done. And so on April 13th, we held a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and it was voted 5-0 to certify a language amendment to adopt a Sweetwater County federal land and resource plan. And then on April 19th, the Board of County Commissioners voted and signed. I believe that should be 4-0. Mr. Wendling, I don't think you were here on that day, so that should be 4-0 to sign. I'll make those changes on the resolution. And so according to the Wyoming Administrative Procedures Act, with Wyoming statutes, we're required to put this out for public comment. It's been on the website. It's been on the main page. It's been on the land use page, and we've had a copy downstairs in the land use department. We received no public comment. And Mr. Chairman, what we're asking today is to adopt the federal land and resource plan, to have the Board of County Commissioners make a motion to approve the certification and the resolution. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Bingham?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I would be ready to make a motion if you would so desire.
I have to have a public hearing first.
Oh, that's right.
So we will open this. Any questions? Okay, we will open this to a public hearing regarding resolution 22-06-CC-01. Public hearing now open. Accept any comments. Looks about the same as your efforts. No comments. So. Any comments? Then we will close the public hearing. And do you want to say that again? Are we just approving the resolution? I heard some more language there.
I know it's kind of confusing. So
Okay.
it's to
Take note here. Whoever's gonna make the motion.
It's to approve the certificate, it's to certify. I need a motion to certify resolution 2206 CC01.
That's it.
Yeah,
Oh, so
I'll
hard.
make
It
it
sounded
easy.
more complex. earlier.
Well, we've got 2 pages. Just remember, we got to sign both the resolution and the certification page.
Okay. Commissioners, what's your pleasure with that fine explanation?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
would you state that resolution number 2206
CC
dash,
01.
we already had a 01. Oh, in the budget amendments.
That's the number I was given.
It's okay.
CL. This is
CL
CC.
was a
Oh,
CO.
Easy, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Just, okay. And I want to extend special thanks to Eric, the planning and zoning, and Miss Connie Brooks. I mean, there was a lot of work put into this, and this is vital. This is key to all of our commenting on our 70% of public lands in our 7 million acre county. And I can't stress how important this is. This is what gives us standing. This is what the governor uses for his consistency review as far as informing the federal agencies that they must be consistent as much as legal. And if Ms. Brooks would like to add anything about how important this is, I would be happy to share that with the commission now.
Let's see, I'm not muted. Okay, good morning, commissioners. It is essential that a county have clearly stated plans and policies when communicating with the agencies, because that means that the agencies understand that this is important for everyone in the county, not just the elected officials. And it really adds weight to the comments that the county makes and the communications the county has every day with federal agencies. So it was my pleasure to help you. I have to give kudos to Eric. He's fabulous to work with and made it all very easy for me.
Thank you. We appreciate your work as well.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if you're ready, I would make the motion then.
I am ready.
I would make a motion to approve a resolution and certification for our federal land and resource use plan 2206 CC01.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Thank you. I will.
Thanks,
ask-
Eric. Good job, man.
Thanks, appreciate it.
I will ask that we have just a 2-minute break or so. Don't go anywhere. I'd like to confer with Mr. De Leon, if I may.
Are you taking a recess?
We're taking a recess, but don't go anywhere. It's gonna be
So don't go
short.
out in the playground?
Yeah.
You know, we were on time before you took a recess.
I know, well,
Thanks for bringing it.
but now we'll be legal and a little behind. Thank you. I call the meeting back to order. We are now in the county resident comments, concerns, and I always include compliments. So still fishing for those. If you have any compliments, feel free. Now would be the time. Step up to the podium, state who you are and what your business is.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'd like to compliment you on a well-run meeting so far.
Thank you. It's early. Come back later and see how it's going. I'll ask you just to introduce yourself and not make this a campaign stop,
Sure.
but just
No,
introduce yourself
absolutely.
to ourselves. If you
But
would please.
and that's why I'm here, is to introduce myself as Dwayne Pacheco, as a retired Air Force reservist and veteran, and as a new role as a retired police chief of 31 years in Rock Springs Police Department. And I am a candidate for sheriff, but I just wanted to let you know that so that you can see me in my role, my new role as a citizen seeking an office, same as you have. I have some good ideas. I feel like there's opportunities, leadership opportunities in our county that are not being realized right now, utilizing grant opportunities, fiscal responsibility. We have some DUI grants, speed grants, distracted driving and enforcing underage drinking laws grants that are important. And I feel like they can save our county money. So I feel like training is important and also programming for our people that are in jail. So it's important to ensure that we stop that revolving door, utilizing 24/7 programs, evidence-based programs that are going to help us move down that road to stop that revolving door and get those citizens, nonviolent citizens, productive. I know other counties have done it through the pandemic, and I know we can do it here. There's definitely some opportunities that I feel like are being missed, but I'll be glad to speak to you guys individually, as well as our county residents. And it's all about safe schools, safe children, keeping our kids safe and keeping our residents safe. So I'm excited to do that, and I'd stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks.
Other county residents' comments. We got one compliment, so any others? You know,
Thanks for the
just-
compliment.
I'm just saying. Might be our first ever, so. Anything, Cindy? No? Okay. Thank you. And we'll move on to tab E, our action presentation items. And Mr. Bingham is back with a presentation of business retention and expansion project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to make this as interactive as possible and a quick presentation also. I feel like picking on a commissioner today, and I think I'm going to pick on Commissioner Lloyd just because,
Perfect.
well, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Pick on them twice.
twice. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to open with a question. And so to Commissioner Lloyd, what percentage do you think does local businesses have in economic diversification? What percentage do you think?
So I don't get the question, Eric. What
So,
percentage? do
so
they
what
have in
comes,
the-
what kind of, where do jobs come from? So let's say, as
Okay.
far as expansion goes, business expansion, I'm going to expand a business. What percentage comes from just local businesses?
80%?
How much?
You nailed it. 80%.
Wow.
I pay attention at these meetings and know what's
I am
going on in the
impressed.
county.
I was.
I think you just guessed.
No, I was gonna go 75, but I said.
Was that
I
a
think it's
guess or
low.
did-
It's low.
And
I
I,
remember I marinate and think about everything. I was,
Here's the real truth. If you're going to present something and you're going to ask somebody who's your boss a question, you better make sure they have the answer.
I will tell you.
That's the real story.
if I was the liaison still, I may have had the real answer, but since I'm only the point of contact, I wasn't privy to that information.
Oh, see, it all comes out now.
Taking it did.
Well, I'm impressed, Commissioner Lloyd. You spot on. It's 80%. So, and I will say you didn't get the PowerPoint before, right?
No.
Okay. All
There
right.
it is
So
right
very good
there. I
guess.
get it.
Okay. So obviously the one thing when you talk about economic development, everybody goes to business attraction, right? That's the thing that everybody likes to see happen is the business attraction. What sometimes gets ignored and put on the side is business retention and expansion type programs. And so all these classes and stuff that Kayla and I take and just in talking with other economic development organizations, the importance of business retention and expansion of local businesses is 80%. So it's very, very important. So Ms. McDonald and I met with Rick Lee with the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce. This is definitely a role that both chambers of commerce can play in a business retention and expansion program. And so we started with Mr. Lee over there, and he is very on board with us moving forward with a business retention expansion program. That would mean partnering with them. That's just not us, but it was because we are both limited on staff. We felt we would reach out, and then all the contacts he has with all the local businesses. And so we felt it was very important. On Thursday at Eve's, I believe, by the golf course, the restaurant out there, we will be presenting the business retention and expansion program to the local business owners that go to the luncheon. And we'll be providing a sign-up sheet for them. We've already had some people that are very interested. We did actually present at an enterprise committee meeting, and everybody that was on the call was very excited about this program. So very good, Commissioner Lloyd. You get your golden star for the day. So why are these important? Well, they foster and enforce the environment for business growth and development, and they collect data, really good information on workforce data and things like that when we're asking these questions and when we're interviewing. So what business retention expansion, what happens is you go to these local businesses and you interview them. And I'm going to kind of go through and talk about what are some of these questions that we're asking them, like the products, what kind of market they're in, the industry, the type of management they have, workforce, technology, utility service, and some questions we may have for them on quality of life. This is the type of information that we're asking in an interview questionnaire. And what that helps provide, and just for example, we met with one of the Trona mines, and this was actually very informal meeting we had with them. And one of the issues that came up that was with workforce training. And I believe Ms. McDonald was working with them on a workforce, at least getting them in touch with a workforce grant possibility, because we know that workforce is actually the number one thing that businesses look at when they're looking to come into the community. So when we've had site visits or even phone calls, one of the first questions they have is, what type of workforce do you have? That also gets lost. I know we talk about quality of life, things like that, but having a trained, ready to go workforce is the number one thing. So, Mr. Chairman and commissioners, it's going to involve 5 steps. One, we're just right now working on organizing. We're looking at kicking this off in September. I'm getting to the events. Gaining support. That's what we're doing here today. And then we'll also be doing at the luncheon on Thursday. Then those that want to sign up, obviously this is volunteer, we'll gather that data and information, analyze that, and then do a follow-up interview with those businesses. You know, we are a resource. We're a resource for this Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition is a resource for businesses to use, for existing businesses to use to find possible grants. Are there development regulations? Are there issues with that? It's something we can streamline the process with, work with the cities. These are things that get discussed. The other thing is since now we are a 501c3, this information will be confidential because it will be part of the Economic Development Coalition. Because I think, to build that trust with those businesses, they are sharing information about their businesses. I want to make sure the public knows that this information will remain confidential. That's all I really have, Mr. Chairman. It was really just to kind of inform you what the Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition is doing with the Business Retention and Expansion Program. And we're just excited, and I'm here to answer any questions. Hopefully I can answer them for you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Bingham?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Mr.
Yeah,
Tabar.
Mr. Bingham, I really like this presentation and appreciate it. You mentioned the Rock Springs Chamber and Rick Lee is on board. Have we approached the Green River Chamber regarding this also?
Not yet, but we plan on doing that.
Okay. And then I also think the reason I think this is important is we talk about the importance of diversifying our economy and bringing other businesses, but really some of the greatest opportunities are to grow within and to help our existing businesses grow larger because they've already invested to be into our
Right.
community and they have a pulse of where they can grow. And so I think having this program and helping our local businesses look at expansion and how they can grow and helping grow within our community with inside ourselves is also a huge part of diversity. So, and at diversification. So I really applaud this effort.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think somewhere around 80%.
I'd like it the next time we answer that question to be 86.5%. It will
Right.
increase it. So
Make it a little harder. Other questions for Mr. Bingham?
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
is
Ms.
this a
Bowman.
commercial program that you buy into, or is just a plan of action that you incorporate and start?
It's just a plan of action starting. There's nothing to pay into it. No, and it's completely volunteer and it's free for businesses to participate in.
So this is really a program to help them identify areas of, hey, maybe we could grow. We hadn't thought about that, or this is what's available out there for us for perhaps expansion, growing our workforce, growing our product line, or whatever it is they're doing.
Absolutely. Yep, you nailed it. So if there's workforce issues, are there issues that we need to deal with the college? And is there a program that you potentially help them with? Is it an infrastructure issue? Is there possible grants? Do they need extension of water line, sewer line, things like that that will assist their business? There's workforce grants, things like that that we mentioned with just one of the Trona mines that had reached out to us. So you nailed it exactly. Those are the things that we're trying to be a resource for.
Great. I like it a lot. Other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Eric, of course, it's SCDC that's doing this, which
Yes.
is Green River, Rock Springs, and the county. Have you had a chance to present this to the cities yet? 2 cities?
No, not yet.
Not yet. That's on the.
Yep.
Okay, because I'm sure their board members are supportive of
Yeah.
it, so it's just a matter of getting it to them.
Absolutely.
All right, looks great. I think you and Kayla have done a good job with it, and I think it's quite an undertask that you can bring something forward. Kind of reminds me of the old saying that 20% of things get 80% of our attention, and that's, recruiting versus retention. I think that,
Yeah.
everybody thinks we ought to spend 80% of our time on recruiting, where if we spend 80%, you need to flip it, but it's going to take some educating people to understand that.
Yep.
All right. Good job. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll keep you around for our next.
Yeah, I was going to say, it ties right into that, right?
And I'm going to say 68%. Is that right? Oh, no, I don't know.
We want 100% approval of the next item.
Okay. Acceptance of the Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition amongst our cities.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just, this is the MOU that we do on a yearly basis, and it's come that time, which would start on the 1st of July. And so this will be presented at both city councils this evening. And so there are some changes to this memorandum of understanding. And so just for the public to understand that the Sweetwater Economic Development, the budget is funded by 3 entities. It's funded by the city of Rock Springs, Green River, and Sweetwater County. The original amount that the MOU was under in the last couple of years was $30,000 contribution. And we have upped that to $70,000 contribution to a total amount of $210,000. So when you saw my budget in the economic, it was up quite a bit, but keep in mind that $140,000 of that will be coming from City of Green River, 70,000 from Green River, 70,000 from the City of Rock Springs, and then 70,000 from Sweetwater County. What this does is it budgets for total loaded costs of employment costs and then an operating budget. When I came and presented the budget to you informally, I think it was back in January, February, I mentioned that we want to step up marketing opportunities, going to trade shows, promoting Sweetwater County. We know we need, in order to do that, we need money to do that. Currently, right now, all of the $30,000 contribution that's received from all the entities is just going towards employment costs. We have absolutely no operating budget. So that's what I'm here today, Mr. Chairman, is to approve the MOU. The other change is that to make our lives easier, that we just ask for a one-time payment from both cities rather than doing these quarterly payments. And then the other thing that we're looking at is a 2-year memorandum of understanding. We've got a lot of great momentum going right now, and we would like to continue that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
And just
Oh, it's not all.
just yeah, just
Okay.
just so you know that, and in speaking with the cities, as far as Mr. Clevenger and with Mayor Como and some of the city council we've approached with actually both cities, it's been favorable, the discussions with these amounts. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Bingham regarding the memorandum of understanding? I'll say I appreciate the changes. 2 years gives a little stability all
Yeah.
the time instead of
Yes.
each year.
Very good.
And then the upped amount, even though, $40,000 more for each of us, but I think that, as you say, without a operating budget, it's really hard to do anything. So-
Exactly.
So I appreciate both of those going up. So what is your pleasure, commissioners, regarding this memorandum?
Mr.
of
Chairman,
understanding? Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the MOU between Sweetwater County, Rock Springs, and Green River for a 2-year period to fund Sweetwater County Economic Development Coalition.
And could I get a
Chairman.
chairman? Yeah.
Oh, Chairman,
Oh,
sign.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, I didn't look at the very bottom.
All good.
Second.
My apologies, Mr. Chairman.
All good. Well, who typed this up?
And Chairman, sign.
How come nobody knows my name, but they know Tim's name and they know Pete's name? And
I
I'm just-
apologize. That's my bad. I can get you in.
That's fine. Whatever. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion besides mine?
Just a comment,
Please.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I'd like to reach out and thank the city of Rock Springs and the city of Green River for their commitment to working in SEDC, because when we first started out, it was quite a trial, and Eric and Caleb both know that. And where it started out and where it's evolved to is amazing. And then also where it started out for funding.
Right.
And even the conversations over the 30,000 between the three entities was I don't know, I don't think the right word is stretch, but it was quite conversed, let's put it like that.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it's come a long ways, and yeah, I just want those two city councils to know how much we appreciate their staying with it. They identifying the growth within the program that they can see through their investment. And I think based on what we know that happening with one of the SCDs lately, involvement, there is quite a return on investment. And that return on investment, I think, will go, I don't know, 25 to 235. It's almost 100, 200, 300, 400%.
Yeah.
So
More
I'm
than
just
80.
telling you, it's amazing, but they worked hard for it. And I want to thank SCDC for that, as well as the county commissioners for staying in there. But anyhow, just a great thank you to everybody. And that includes our chairman, he's looking for those compliments. So he's hung in there too and made sure everybody stay aligned. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Always a pleasure. Even if my name's not on it.
Oh.
What? What happened? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thank you, Doc. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Kayla.
Tab G, cooperative agreement between DFS Child Support Program and Sweetwater County Clerk of District Court, which would be Donnelly Boback. Welcome aboard.
Good morning. How are you?
Quite well. It's a
Yeah.
lovely day.
It is, and it's been a lovely meeting so far.
It'll change. Watch.
Yeah, on my account probably.
Not on your account, no.
No, I'm just kidding. Before you have the cooperative agreement that we've had for many years with the Department of Family Services, State of Wyoming, with the BOCC program and the Clerk of District Court's office. They provide all the equipment and all the supplies we need and repairs for the BOCC computers that we use for child support, which is crucial for our office and the community to receive those in a timely manner. And it used to be an annual agreement and is now every 2 years we do this. It has been reviewed by the county attorney's office. In fact, our county attorney, Danny Mosby, has signed off on it. And I just ask you to approve that. There's
Excellent.
no cost to anybody. They used to give us a portion. It was a couple thousand a month, but that hasn't been for the longest time because of their costs going up. And but then they wanted to stay at only paying $20 for filing a case. And I brought before our association that they can't have it both ways. Either we get some kind of stipend or they can pay the entire filing fee, which they do at this point.
Good.
So
Good.
we are still getting funding, money from them in a different way. So
Any way you can get it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Questions, Ms. Boback?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Ms. Boback, has there been conversations at all to raise that fee from $20, that filing fee?
well, they pay 120 now.
120 now. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
They were,
I didn't hear the 100. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll comment and say thank you for knowing my name on the bottom here. I appreciate that. Eric.
I'm wondering what a psychologist would have to say with this conversation.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't either, but
Something
curious.
interesting, I'm sure.
having a minor in psychology, I'm sitting over here thinking, okay, let's see what we can do.
Excellent. Let me know at the break. Then commissioners, what is your pleasure with this cooperative agreement for responsibilities between Wyoming Department of Family Services Child Support Program and the Sweetwater County Clerk of District Court?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead,
Yes.
Roy.
I would move that we accept that cooperative agreement as presented and allow the chairman to sign.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, I would be
motion.
happy to second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Thank you.
Thanks,
Donnelly.
Donnelly.
Appreciate it.
you're welcome. And I would ask if I could have the original back. I have to send that to the state and then I'll get a copy to the clerk.
I'd imagine it's in here. Okay.
Perfect.
Get
Thank
that
you.
signed. Thank you. Tab H, Events Complex Summer Event Update. We have Candy Pendleton with us.
Good morning, Candy.
This is always a fun story.
Chairman Jeff Smith, I do know your name, just in case you're wondering, so.
Thank you. I'm going to get a
Thank you.
Eric, you got to hope this meeting gets over real quick.
we're gonna-
Yeah, but we're pretty close to being on time.
You're 80%,
Yeah, 80%.
80% right.
20% of our agenda takes up 80% of our time.
Isn't that the truth? And that's later. Huh?
You give one answer.
Okay, sorry about that.
No.
I'm Candy Pendleton, the Executive Director at the Events Complex, and just wanted to touch base at the beginning of the summer because I don't know that you'll see much of me during the summer, but I wanted to make sure that you all knew what was happening at the Events Complex for the next couple of months at least. So we're going to start off. We're going to start off with some information about the Tiffin Anniversary Rally, which is moving in as we speak. So Tiffin Motor Coaches is celebrating their 50th anniversary. They were here in 2019 and decided to come back for this big rally. So they had 625 motor coaches. I think we've talked about this before. They sold out in 3 minutes. So they are completely sold out and they are starting to move in now. We have their volunteer and their staff group in. They started moving in last week. We have 40 coaches, display coaches for people to see that moved in over the weekends that will be in the front parking lot. And then the 625 others will start moving in on Friday. So it will be completely packed. If you get a chance to come out during the rally, I would definitely ask you to do so and wander around, and I can certainly introduce you to people while you're there. But very exciting. So the rally attendees move in June 10th through 12th. Just to clarify, that's when they can move into the actual rally site. The Tiffin folks rented the 2 upper campgrounds, so White Mountain and Pilot Butte campground. We still have Boar's Tusk, which is the one that's down along 191. So several of the attendees are here already. They just had to stay in the Boar's Tusk campground until the rally dates, and then they'll move up. So that's really cool too, that they're coming early and staying late. So lots and lots, I would say 400 additional nights for those campers staying after the rally so that they can go to Flaming Gorge and check out everything that we have around here. So that's an awesome thing for them to do as well. Gas prices are high. And so we said, hey, you don't have to leave. You can stick around here for a little bit longer. And we're hoping to use that a little bit to our advantage. So we'll utilize all 3 campgrounds. You will see them out. I had mentioned they don't cook for the most part. Most of them go out. They're here because they want to explore the area. So you will see them out at dinner. You will see them out shopping and checking out the downtowns and all of those things that you would normally do as a tourist. So you will see them. They have their badges on. They all wear their badges when they travel around. So if you happen to see them, I would encourage you to introduce yourselves and welcome them to our community. This is probably $1 million in impact, direct impact to our community. They are here for a minimum of 5 days and fuel is not cheap. So I was talking to Commissioner Toman before you all got here, and the impacts were measured before the price of fuel went nuts. And so I think that's probably a low estimate at this point, but $1 million for the week is pretty substantial for what they're bringing into the county. So a couple of things I would invite you to and the public to. There is an ice cream social for the rally attendees that we are hosting. The Events Complex is hosting, and we invite you to come out and join us on the 14th of June at 3 o'clock. If you can come help us serve ice cream, that would be great. And then the event is open to the public on Thursday, June 16th. So that's the day you could come out and check out the rally. You could come and wander through the motor coaches. They are phenomenal. I would say they probably start at 200,000 and go upwards of $1 million, but they're beautiful. If you want to come out and see them, Thursday would be the day to do that. Then we roll into our second rally of the summer, which is the Newmark Country Club rally. Just a tiny bit smaller, about 75 less coaches. They are here. We did the same thing with them. We said, hey, come early, stay late. And so they're taking advantage of that. They're the 18th through the 23rd. So just a week before the Red Desert Roundup Rodeo and the fair. Basically the same details, just a little bit smaller event. But also we'll have a public day, and I don't have that information for you yet, but ice cream is huge for retirees and RV people. So I do have the ice cream social date that you can put on your calendar. July 16th at 6 o'clock is their ice cream social. We really underestimated the importance of ice cream with these folks, but we have ordered 4,100 units of ice cream, their individual prepackaged stuff with COVID in mind. So it's big. I tell you, you just have to offer them ice cream and they will do anything that you want and go anywhere that you want them to go. So pretty excited about both of those rallies. You will be able to see them from the roads. If you go out to Eves or the golf course, you will certainly see that the campgrounds are filled up for both of those. So between the two, close to $2 million directly spent in Sweetwater County for those couple of weeks. And then, as I mentioned, we roll right into Red Desert Roundup, Rodeo, and Fair. So our new Fair logo, I think I have presented to you before, but I love it. So I'm going to show it anytime that I can. And of course, we start off the week with 4-H and FFA activities. We start on typically Sunday before the concerts start. We have 4-H and FFA activities. Sunday and Monday are completely free for people if they want to come out and see those activities. There's no charge to get in the gate. That's when the livestock is moving in, the horse events are happening, the vendors are moving in, and then starting on Tuesday, the 2nd of August is when the concert series starts. So Mitchell Tenpenny is our first concert. Let's see how I'm not super techy here, so I want to skip the videos for today. So Mitchell Tenpenny on August 2nd. Each of these shows who the sponsors are for this event itself. I will tell you that our sponsors and the community businesses have really stepped up. Our sponsors are up 16% this year.
Wow.
And in today's times, that is huge. So we have had all of our traditional sponsors are back. They are tried and true and have been in with us for 20 plus years. And we have picked up some new sponsors. So 16% increase on our sponsors. Maybe. Wednesday, August 3rd is Little River Band. So this is our classic rock night. All of the concerts start at 8:30, just so you're aware. The gates will be open all day, but the concerts start at 8:30 at night. Again, there's lots of things besides the concert to come out and see. So I would tell you all to come out and visit the indoor arena, the sheep barn. There's vendors. Our vendors are completely packed. We have 2 booths left in the whole facility right now. We are trying to figure out if we can reconfigure our exhibit hall and our outdoor vendors so that we can find some more space for them. So the vendors deserve your visit. We would encourage you to come out and do that. The carnival, of course, will be open. So lots of fun things going on. Thursday, August 4th is Ian Munsick. He's our Wyoming guy. If you're not familiar with him, he's from Sheridan. He and his family have been playing and have a band for since he was a little kid. So I think we will see a lot of Wyoming residents from around the state coming to visit with Ian Munsick. He's also playing in Jackson and he's playing at Cheyenne Frontier Days. So you do not have to spend $100 a ticket at Cheyenne Frontier Days. You can just wait and come to the fair for as little as $8 or $10. So that's pretty exciting. And then Friday, August 5th is Hairball. This one's just super fun. They do Queen and Kiss and Freddie Mercury and you name it. They come out in costume. They do have pyrotechnics. It's quite the show. I believe Commissioner Lloyd has spoke about them before. He has seen them. I think this really could be a lot of fun.
I think that's him up there.
Yeah, it might
There's
be.
one over from
I like it 80% of the
On the
time.
far left, on the far left.
Far left in the stretch pants, that's Commissioner Lloyd.
He's got a 6-pack.
The keg.
Oh, I'm staying out of that. And then Saturday night, we wrap up with the band Perry. We do have fireworks both nights on Friday and Saturday. So if you're out there, it is awesome to see from right underneath them. They shoot off right just to the left of the concert stage. So you are up close and personal. You can feel it. If you get close enough, you can feel the what's it called? Percussion? No, not percussion. Concussion? I don't know. You can feel the fireworks if you get close enough. I can't think of what that word is, but. So the fair is going to be awesome. We hope that we will see you all out there. We are having a sponsor social on June 22nd, and I'll send all these dates to Sally so she can stick them on your calendar. But June 22nd, we're going to get all of our sponsors together. Like I said, up 16%. We just want to say, hey, thank you so much in advance. Make sure they know that we appreciate them. And then that'll give them about a month to hopefully get some tickets to their employees and thank them for coming out. Soon as we get done with the fair, matter of fact, the Monday after fair. So fair ends on Saturday. Sunday, the livestock moves out. On Monday, we have the Royal Crown barrel racing and team roping event. This is huge, and I've talked about it before, but they have over $1 million in added money. So they will pay out $1.1 million in the 7 days that they're there. So people from across the country, we had 38 states represented last year in this event. And I think we will have at least that again this year. So if you haven't been out for that Royal Crown event, it's definitely worth, again, if nothing else, just driving through the grounds to see what that looks like. And then Sweetwater Downs Horse Racing, as you know, they have to run 16 dates. And so their dates are listed on that page as well. They start in mid-August and run through the first week in October. It's a little bit sketchy to run in Wyoming the first week in October. So we're going to pray that it does not rain or snow on them and then they can get all those dates in. But that is the current plan for horse racing. And then the other exciting news that you guys have been involved with a little bit is the pavilion itself. So we are very close to breaking ground on the pavilion at the events complex. So we have received all of the necessary permits from the city of Rock Springs, from building inspectors and all of their utility review people. The bids went out a couple of weeks ago and we should have a decision hopefully by the end of this week as to who's going to start the dirt work. So we'll start the grading and dirt work and then the concrete for the pillars, and are on schedule if we can make it happen to have the pavilion folks come up to put that up on July 11th. It is a huge push. So I have to say I'm not 100%, maybe 80% confident we're going to get there, but I'm definitely not 100% confident that we're going to have that pavilion up by July 11th, but it will be up by the end of the summer for sure.
80%. And that dirt work includes the mountain behind the pavilion.
And those giant
Those
trees, yes.
trees, right?
That's going to be
Yes.
really nice.
I know, right?
It'll be nice without them too. But,
Tamara Musgrove, who does our landscaping, she's a genius. Just wait till you see what those trees look like in just a few short years.
excellent.
Yeah, so that's very exciting. It was a slow start, but it is moving right along. So for those of you that don't remember, that pavilion is near the monuments, so just to the south of our main exhibit hall building, and will be up and operational for sure by next summer. We have committed to Airstream for their rally to be able to use that event. So we are moving forward. Hopefully you will see that all come together. We would like to do a ribbon cutting, of course, as we get closer, but we also may do a groundbreaking ceremony when we know what that's going to look like. And we'll invite you guys out to check that out as well. So lots of things happening. We do have a pretty decent part-time staff in place. We still have a few open positions. It's difficult to find people, as I'm sure you've heard from other departments this summer, but we are finding the people that we need. And of course, our full-time staff is second to none. So things are really happening out there, and I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Candy. And kudos for a great lineup of fun and events this summer. And I remember your presentation on the pavilion. It is so very well thought out. I'm excited for that and what an addition it's going to be to, I mean, you're already attracting like the cream of the crop. And so it's just gonna, I think, augment all that. So thanks for that. Other comments and questions?
Nice job.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Candy, with the anticipated revenue that's coming in from all of this, including the fair, what's for the community? What's the thought total of all events through the summer, do you think?
So last year we were at 10 million. I would guess we're close to 12 million at
12
least
million
this year.
Okay, and then where do you have it written in our MOU that what percentage of that will come back to the county?
What's the current sales tax percentage?
No, I'm just talking about, we helped you out with your
That's
horse
true.
racing.
That's true.
So I'm thinking maybe come the other way a little bit.
All right, I'll work on that.
Would you please?
I will.
And
We're all friends here. Yeah.
Would you bring it? Not that
We
thing.
do. I think we've talked about it
Yeah.
a little bit before, but we do also collect, I know you are. We do also collect sales tax and lodging tax on all of those campground events. So that does directly come
Yeah.
back, but and the lodging tax directly comes back to the state and the county as well.
Yeah. Would you please get with Sally and give her the dates of when these open things are,
Yes.
so she can do on our calendar invite, save the date, please, Sally? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Other questions, comments?
Oh, just very good job.
No.
Sounds exciting. I love the logo.
Thank you.
I do. I think it's just amazing.
It's the little things in life for me that just give me great joy. And so some of those things have been awesome to rework. But thank you. I appreciate
good.
all your
Very
support.
nice.
We appreciate you. We hope to see you out at all of our events, and thanks for the time.
One other thing. I don't know if you were going to say anything or not, but we had budget meeting last night. And we talked, you did watch, so you did get the message about when that would start with that 30% from horse racing would be starting the next fiscal year.
Yes, and
Thank you.
I apologize for the confusion. I actually had messaged
Well-
Commissioner Shanefield. So I was using the 22 numbers as my example of what that would look like, but I did expect that it would start in
Well, and
2023.
we should have been a little more clear. Made sense. Good question to ask.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very good question. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice job.
nice
Uh,
job.
Tab I, request approval to ratify Amendment 1 to the 2022 Volunteer Fire Assistance Grant Agreement. And online, we have Christina Marshall.
Good morning. Long
There you
time no
are.
see. It's nice to see you all.
Oh, that's where you are.
Wait, that's where you are. We're gonna have to check the policy and see if there's some restrictions on COVID leave.
I didn't go over budget on my travel.
Perfect.
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is a very easy agenda item. It's just more for bookkeeping. Back in February, the commission approved a volunteer fire assistance grant, and it's, even though a little grant, it's important. It helps the capability of firefighters to suppress fires in Sweetwater County. So as I mentioned, it was executed in February and expired on May 31st, 2022. I can assure you that our centralized purchasing staff have done everything they can to try to purchase the items. And unfortunately, there were some fire pants that could not get in time. And so we needed to get this amendment done before the agreement expired so that it could be salvaged. This amendment extends the term to December 31st, 2022, and had to be signed before May 31st, which is why we're trying to ratify it today. Of the items purchased, some of the items were actually under budget. And so there is some available funding. And I just wanted to point out that purchasing contacted me yesterday about 2 pieces of fire equipment that came up. Gary McLean contacted them last week. And one item is a damaged strainer head. It's so for a fire truck, it needs to be able to spray water, and I guess it cannot do it without this part. And then there's a second item, a replacement mic for a permanent radio. This is in a fire truck, and the BLM, when they came out recently for site visit, they identified this. I have actually emailed the state forestry to see if we can incorporate this since it's under the same general use. And I just thought you should be aware of it. There would be no additional cost to the county. But if you don't have a problem with that, we could put that under this grant as well. And then my final comment is, I don't mean to pick on the chairman today with his signature, but unfortunately, in this amendment, if you go to page 3, it lists him as the acting chairman, and I know very well he is not acting. And I think it stems from the original contract that is also in your packet. It was signed by acting chairman Roy Lloyd at the time. So, and that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Christine. At least you know my name, so it's all good. One more time. Questions for Christina? I did sign this back on May 24th. So we'll be ratifying that today.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
not a question for Christina, but more for us. Why does Jim Zimmerman, our new fire warden, is he aware of this? I haven't, where's he at in the picture? Because I thought he was a fire warden now.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Wendling, he is, and when the items were ordered actually prior to the change in the structure, and when I get back, I'm planning on discussing all this with him.
Yeah, I'd hate to move forward with it too much without Jim Zimmerman's input, because that's who's responsible for this, not anybody else other than the commission.
Well, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Wendling, today's focus is really on to ratify the
Yeah,
amendment.
I know that.
Packet.
I realize that, but still think Jim needs to be involved. I mean, we can still ratify, but make sure we visit with Jim from now on.
Okay.
Thank you. Other comments, questions? Then what is your pleasure on ratifying Amendment 1? to
Mr.
the
Chairman,
2002 Volunteer Fire Assistance Grant Agreement?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'll move to ratify Amendment 1 to the 2022 Volunteer Fire Assistance Grant Agreement and authorize the chairman, Mr. Jeff Smith, to sign it.
And Mr. Chairman, I would second that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Excellent. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Enjoy the sunshine.
I will.
On to tab J, approval of catering permit for Wes's LLC DBA Eden Saloon. I'll let you finish the rest there, Cindy. Cindy Lane, our county clerk here.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairman.
Said she's ready for me.
I
I
am
can't think
ready.
of a really good question to
No,
ask.
and
this
I
time.
brought all my descriptions so that I am ready for you, Mary. Okay, so we have a request for an approval of a catering permit for the West LLC DBA Eden Saloon on June 25th for the Kayla Norwood wedding at 4039 North Highway 191 at the Community Center in Farson.
Do we need a public hearing on this?
Yes.
Okay,
No,
questions for Ms. Lane before we do?
I don't think we need a public hearing on this one.
No?
This isn't a liquor
No.
license. This is a permit.
Oh, not a liquor license, just a catering license.
A
Okay.
catering,
catering permit.
yes.
Excellent. Questions then? Then what is your pleasure for this application for a catering permit?
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion
Oh, and authorize the chairman to sign.
and authorize the chairman to sign
Thank you.
for the catering permit.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second for the discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Thank you and congratulations to Kayla and Norwood on the wedding. Hope it all goes well. Tab K is a contract between Wyoming Secretary of State's office and the Sweetwater County Clerk.
Okay, once again, Chairman and Commissioners. We had the new room built for the election equipment and to hold the absentee ballot center and the canvassing board in my office that you approved, and it is done and it looks amazing. But part of that is there is a piece of election equipment that is stored in there that stays at the county, and it needed to have security camera and a trilogy lock on the doors so that I know at all times who's going in and out of that room because that equipment is in there. The Secretary of State's office had grant money available, so I wrote a grant several times because I kept adding things to it. Doesn't add up to a whole lot of money. It's $3,988.41, but I figure if I can get any penny from somewhere else, we will. It is for the one security camera that will be linked so I can watch it in my office. That one lock that's on there, the swiper lock, and then also 19 trail cameras. We are putting trail cameras in all the polling locations that don't already have security so that when we drop off our equipment, because we can't go on the same day for all of our polling locations, we will have a camera set up so that if anything were to happen to any of the equipment, we would be able to see what happened or be alerted that something is going on. So I went ahead and added that to it as well. We do have a few things. Christina and I are going to meet when she gets back, but we do have a few things that I have to accomplish with this, which is I have to send zero balance receipts to show that we did purchase the equipment, that how the completion of the project mitigated any of the county's risk in relation to elections and critical infrastructure, which we have. That's why we got the grant. And then also how the county plans to continue to mitigate cybersecurity risks in relations to elections as critical infrastructure, which our IT department already continues to do that. So we are, that was the big switch to the Sweetwater County WI.gov that I know was from my department, but that was one of the critical infrastructure changes that we were able to get the grant. So I'm asking for you to look that over because I do need permission for the chairman to sign.
Thank you. Questions for Ms. Lane? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the cameras, is it an internal loop recording system that will maintain the records for a certain period of time?
The trail cameras, here, yes, the county, it's on their system. It's on our system here. And then if I need to get copy, save that, then I can go in and get that. The trail cameras have a little disc that keeps, it'll just be, it's like 32 gigs. So it'll be way more than I need for keeping that information.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Then what is your pleasure regarding the contract between Wyoming Secretary of State's office and Sweetwater County Clerk?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll make a motion. We approve the contract between the Wyoming Secretary of State's office and Sweetwater County Clerk's office or clerk, and authorize the chairman, Mr. Jeff Smith, to sign.
Thank you. It looks like it's all spelled correctly and everything. That's great.
I sent it to them. They have it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
On to tab
Thank
L,
you.
a letter of engagement for the Board of Equalization Attorney. Ooh, always a good time.
Always a good time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Chairman. Last year, we did retain Mark Harris as the county's Board of Equalization attorney. I did reach out to Mr. Harris. He did a fabulous job for us last year. I did reach out to him with some potential dates and potential engagement of his services. Once again, I would like to present that he is available, the dates that we need for the Board of Equalization, and I would like authorization and for the chairman to sign a letter of engagement for Mark Harris for August 24th and 25th, 2022. He did keep his rates the same. I did call and verify that with him of $180 per hour, and he would be traveling to Green River for those meetings. I'm also in the process of getting a court reporter so that we have a court reporter, but that'll come a little bit later.
Thank you. Do we budget for this every year?
It's in the professional services, yes.
Thank you. Other questions, Ms. Lane?
Ms. Lean,
Yes.
what was his total cost last year? Do you recall?
I do not recall.
You don't
It
recall?
wasn't,
I thought it was pretty reasonable.
it was
for-
very reasonable for all the
Yeah.
work that he did. His finding of facts was phenomenal.
Phenomenal. When he travels, will we pay for his traveling expenses and mileage as well?
Yes,
We will. Okay. Thank you.
It's just from Evanston.
from
right?
Evanston. He's located in Evanston. So we did find somebody close to us.
Good. Other questions? Then what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, Commissioner Shanefield in first.
I'll make a motion to approve the letter of engagement as presented and authorize chairman to sign.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Thank you.
All right, now I'm done. Thank you.
Well done. On to tab M, a request to restaff positions, court security officer vacancy in the sheriff's office. We're lucky today. Welcome aboard, Brenda.
Good morning. Before you this morning is a request to restaff the court security officer position. We have an employee who retired June 1st. Actually, May 31st, he retired. So the request is to restaff the position at a grade 17 and step 2 rate of pay. There's a potential increase depending on who we hire for that position, depending on the health insurance part. Actually, there's a decrease. Sorry, I forgot. He was at a higher rate of pay. He was at a grade 18, step 7, and we are anticipating hiring at a grade 17, step 2. So potentially a $5,500 decrease to the budget.
Perfect. Questions, or would our sheriff like to add anything?
Good morning, Sheriff. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. This is just another part of that plan that we talked about with the restructuring and cost savings through attrition. This is what we wanted to do, is get those higher grades down to what the current court security staff is, and that's grade 17. So just another part of that plan coming together.
Beautiful, thank you. Other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
no question, just a note that I will be abstaining from this vote.
fair enough. Any other comments, questions? Then what is your pleasure, Commissioners, to restaff the vacant position?
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion to restaff the court security vacancy.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll second and authorize chairman to sign.
And authorize the chairman to sign, yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? And note the abstention. Next up, food service worker position.
We have an employee who is retiring. We've got a lot of retirements this year. So our current food service worker lead is retiring July 1st. And we're requesting to restaff that position as a lead position. The sheriff's office just finished up the interviews yesterday. We had also placed on the agenda to request to restaff the food service worker entry level position. So we want to pull that one from your packet, as we will not be restaffing an entry level. We submitted it in the event that one of the entry level food service worker employees was promoted up to that position. But they promoted somebody else in the department. So we'll be coming before you in the next board meeting to request to restaff that position
That was instead of the entry level.
instead of the entry level, exactly.
Very good. Questions that we might have? Then what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve the hiring of the food service worker lead position in the detention center as presented and authorize the chairman to sign.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you. And so we're not going to do the next one because we don't need to know.
Right.
Okay.
correct. Yes,
Making our life a little easier.
that's right.
No complaints there. Then on to tab N, request approval of the 2022 UMR summary plan letter. Tell us a story there.
Okay, before you is a request from UMR. They've submitted the summary plan description as well as the summary plan description letter. The letter has listed out what the changes are to the plan. It's on pages 2 and 3, I believe. And in the summary plan description itself, all of the proposed changes are highlighted in gray. The majority of the changes are due to changes in federal legislation. Effective January 1, the Consolidated Appropriations Act, which includes the No Surprises Act, went into effect. So the majority of the changes are due to those changes in legislation,
Not our choice.
not our choice.
Not our choice.
Excellent. Do we need a signature on this? I'm looking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I see it there.
Do we need a signature on page 3?
Okay, there it is. Excellent questions, commissioners. Then what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the 2022 UMR summary plan letter and authorize the chairman to sign.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Appreciate it,
you.
Brenda. And we are on to a break and a little ahead of schedule. So let's go till, we'll take 15 minutes. We were scheduled for a 10-minute. We'll come back at 10 minutes after 10. 10 minutes after.
Good
10.
job, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
Got us ahead from
Only-
behind.
if only I could have my name on everything, I'd be happy. Call this meeting of the Board of County Commissioners in Sweetwater County back to order. And we are on to tab O, award of the fiscal year 22 paint striping project on various county roads. Mr. Gene Legursky with us today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the letter states, we opened bids for the paint striping project last week. We had one bidder. SNL Industrial has done it for a lot of years. Sometimes one other company beats them out, but they were the only ones. They were actually $900 over what they were last year, which was amazing with inflation and everything, but just tells you how high paint striping was last year.
And look at the engineer's estimate. So
I thought prices would go up. So
Nice.
I don't have a clue anymore on price. I'll just be honest with you. Don't have a clue.
that's always awesome when it's less. So we will not
Yes.
complain.
No.
Not at all. Excellent.
And there's not a paint shortage this year, so hopefully we won't have to go through 4 different vendors like we had to last year. The yellow resin is being made again in Texas, and there's an abundance of it. So
Excellent. Questions for Mr. Legursky?
How many miles?
135 road miles. That's not striped miles. It's 309 striped miles.
Wow.
Something like that. 309, 308. Can't remember the exact number.
Other questions? This is a good fun fact. I was going to say 80%, but what's your pleasure then, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to award the FY 22 paint striping project on various county roads. Do I have to say to SNL Industrial
And for the amount, please.
for, what was the amount?
349.
I'm sorry, I didn't open that up. Okay. For $349,361.60 and authorize the chairman to sign all necessary project documents. Thank you.
Perfect. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Thank you. On to tab P, resolution 20-06-EN-01 Summit Drive Extension.
Mr. Chairman, what this is a cleanup. As the resolution states, back in early 2000s, Jay and Terry Diert gave the county a easement for a right of way from the northern edge of Apache Drive to the southern end of Randy Manico's property. We've had a road there forever. Part of the resolution also states that in April 10th, 2002, the Board of County Commissioners had a decision on the Randy Manico property saying that it had a road B in there and all this other stuff. That was never included in our final county road plans at the time. It was never adopted by the board by resolution. So what we're doing is cleaning that up and officially adopting that section of road.
Excellent. So we have been servicing it all these years and
Yeah.
just not.
There's only one person that lives at the end of the road. Randy does now. Now he split the property and his son lives there also. So when, to be honest with you, when the title company started looking at this and lending loans and everything like that, access became an issue and we started looking into it. And there was access, but it was never formally adopted.
Very good. Other questions for Mr. Legursky? Good to see John Pallison's
Yes.
signature on here. Look at
Yes.
that. Nice.
Very well done decision also. Had
Nice.
a lot of detail on it.
What's your pleasure then, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 22-06-EN-01 Summit Drive, County Road 1136 extension as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ooh, you pick them, Sally. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Thank you, Gene.
Thank you.
4
Nice
minutes. Yeah.
Tab Q, ratify draft proposal of BLM's 2022 oil and gas lease sale EAN FONSI. Commissioner Toman.
I would make a motion to ratify the comments that were submitted through the Coalition of Local Governments regarding the oil and gas lease sale and the finding of no significant impact. Fonzie.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Very good. Thank you. Tabar Library Board appointments. This is, anyone want to take a lead on this?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'd be willing to do that.
thank you.
The reason I volunteered to do that is I did, as the former library liaison, I did have Lindsay Travis reach out to me. I also had a chance to read and vet each of the applications. And even though I think there are some really good applications, a couple stick out to me, specifically Lenore Perry and Deb Sutton. And upon my review, I'd like to recommend Deb Sutton for the reason she's actually been reaching out to the library, having conversations about the library, sharing ideas, and getting information about the library board and showing a very proactive interest about being on it. That conversation happened with Lindsay about 8 or 9 days ago. I don't know if anyone else has reached out to her since that point, but I think she would have shared. But I do appreciate Ms. Sutton's reaching out to the library and showing a vested interest.
Thank you. And this will be due to the resignation of Elisa Robbins back in April, and this term will be approximately 2 years. It'll be slow down. July 1st of 2024 is when the unexpired term will expire. Other comments or discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
would recommend Lenore Perry. She's shown a interest. She has reached out to me several times. She's been on the list for 3 of the past appointments. So for that, I would recommend her.
Thank you. Other comments? Out of the 5 there, those are the 2 that I do know, and I know that they would both do excellent jobs. So I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I would move that we appoint Deb Sutton to the library board to fill an unexpired term through 7/1/24.
thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we'll get notification out to Ms. Sutton. Nice. Tab S, amended City of Green River Fire Agreement. We have Jim Zimmerman here with us today. Welcome back, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. What I'm here today to present is the approval for the amending of this contract, the fire contract for the City of Green River, to include the equipment that is noted in Schedule G that was drafted by our own John DeLeon. And so what we have there is we have a 1 Type 6 wildland fire engine, E61 to be precise, 1 UTV, and 1 water tender. The county will not be charged when this equipment is being used. So it's rather than let it just sit there and rot, we want to have it in the field working and saving the county some money. And especially the water tender, as I know with Green River, they are really happy to get that water tender. And we have both the chiefs from Green River here today. So if you have any questions for Bill or Larry, they're here with us. But that's what I have. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Zimmerman? or
Yes.
comments? Yeah.
I don't have a question. I just want to make sure the county retains ownership of that equipment.
It does.
It does. And to congratulate our deputy wardens. Thank you for working with us.
You ran a
Appreciate it.
great campaign. Good job. We all elected you yesterday. Like it or not, right?
And Mr. Zimmerman, our warden. Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes, Commissioner.
do we know if Granger or Wamsutter or Superior may need those like UTV or water tender?
Wamsetter has a contract with the county, and they already have received the equipment that they asked for in their contract.
Okay, but they haven't indicated they'd like a water tender or the water tender?
No, they would not have use for that, not in
How about,
Wamsetter.
has Granger been in touch with you? Have you talked with them?
We don't have a contract. That came through the fire committee, Commissioner Lloyd.
In talking to Granger's chief, Smetchler, and I know I'm saying that wrong. I apologize. I've had lots of conversations with Jason. Their biggest equipment request will be the breathing apparatuses at this point, from what I've gathered from him.
When
The
did you-
SPAs, or is that what it is?
when was your last conversation with them, Commissioner?
About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Mr. Chairman. I mean, Mr. Commissioner Wendling.
Okay. We haven't reached out to Superior or any of those others?
No,
Very good. Thank
I
you.
mean, not as a,
No,
not
that's
as a
okay.
fire
That's
warden.
okay.
No.
Perhaps as the committee, I
Well,
don't know. I can't speak for the
that's-
committee.
I'd like to say the committee's been disbanded. It's not their job anymore.
It has? That's news to me.
Yeah, we're all done. We got their recommendation. We don't need a committee anymore. Other than the group that meets with, I'm talking about the committee.
I'm talking, that's just a different wording, I guess. I meet with Gary, Jean, and Commissioner Lloyd on the budget and everything else that has to do with the fire.
I didn't know that was put together.
Mr. Chairman, that was your appointment. You made the appointment for Roy to be the contact. The
Okay,
committee
so-
is disbanded and Roy is the
What does that have to do with
point of
Jean and Gary?
contact.
Anyhow, let it ride. With that, I just want to make sure those small communities are taken care of as well.
I did get, Mr. Commissioner, I did get a email from Eden Farson
Good.
requesting some equipment. I got an email from Barrowell requesting some equipment. I basically told them to let us know what they need or what they would
Did
want.
they know what was available?
I do not know that.
Probably not. I got a feeling that only certain entities knew what was there. So, but that's okay. Because if they need it, it'll be something I hope this commission will be able to address and take care of for
Well,
those communities.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. We're here discussing the City of Green River Fire Agreement, not continued use or how we want to disperse additional fire equipment.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yes.
Questions are, when these things come up, to make sure the other communities are taken care of as well. And make sure that they've been asked, and then having all the information instead of just what certain commissioners want. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I do believe priority should be given to the contracting entities who are serving the majority of the county, which one of them is the city of Green River. So based on that, I would be ready to make a motion to approve the change to allow the equipment to go to them.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve Schedule G, the amendment to the contract fire agreement with Green River. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I will be voting against this for two reasons. I specifically said in the past that there are things that have not been done correctly as we move forward with this, i.e. Answering public questions and how the procedure went through, as well as listening to the written comments from people opposing the dissolution of the county fire, as well as the fact that in the contract, these sections that basically this section, I believe it's 304. And if in his or her sole opinion, the fire chief determines the additional assistance is required for the provision of fire protection services or medical response. The fire chief may request additional personnel, apparatus, or equipment from any private individual or service providers or pursuant to the provisions of any existing fire protection agreement or mutual aid between the city or municipality or fire protection. And if no such agreements exist, from the next close municipality. Also, there's a clause in there that I believe the fire chief can determine whether or not they respond to a call. Am I correct, John?
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Wendling, so 3.03 and 3.04 were essentially intended to work together. So it allowed the city and the town to be able to say, hey, we don't have that ability, but 3.04 was intended to say, we're not going to just leave it unaddressed. We'll work with other entities that we work with to address the particular issue.
Yeah. But in 303, if sufficient resources cannot be mustered, if equipment becomes non-functional for any other situation or reason that precludes safe involvement to make a response, which means basically in the fire chief's opinion, personnel, apparatus, and equipment are required, they can hold it back. So I don't think that's in the best interest of our outlying communities or our outlying taxpayers who pay tax dollars the same as everybody else does. And the third reason I oppose it is I can't prove it, but I do not believe there was full transparency and everything moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I will point out that the agreement has been approved by this commission already. We are just today approving Schedule G with these 3 items of fire protection equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll still oppose it.
Call for the question.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay.
Aye. Nay.
Thank you. Duly noted. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Jim.
On to tab T, we have a discussion regarding setting up a group to look at CLG versus alternatives, also setting parameters and goals for the group. Commissioner Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, based upon our discussion last meeting where there was some conversation regarding taking a look and potentially moving away from CLG, as we discussed the concerns, I think one of my concerns was the fact that if we were to move away from CLG at that time, there wasn't a plan in place to change that. And as a county, we're facing a lot of different concepts that are going to be coming up that currently the CLG would assist with. Ashley National Forest Plan being one, the range management plan, and some significant issues going with Sweetwater County. And so I think it was important to take and dissect it a little bit to see if CLG was the best option or what our other options would be. And one of my concerns is, I've been to 2 CLG meetings or 1 or 2 CLG meetings in the last year and a half personally as a commissioner, and they were both on Zoom and they were very difficult to watch just because of the action. And it was during COVID, about a year and a half ago. So it is hard to make some of these decisions when you don't even have the innate information. And I know a couple of my fellow commissioners up here haven't been involved in CLG. So I thought it was important to take a look and maybe put a small group together to look at options and concepts. And so what I'd like to recommend, Mr. Chairman, is that I put together a work group that I would be willing to be part of, and maybe using Mr. Bingham, and then also maybe even eliciting a couple of other folks that may have knowledge in the area. Thinking about, even if it's okay with the group, even reaching out to Mark Cott as a volunteer to see if he'd be interested in sharing, because he does have history in the information, and to take a look at what our other options are. I also think it's important that I will be going to the next CLG meeting on the 17th of June. It's on a Friday. It's different than normal because of a presentation the day before, to kind of be able to get a better handle and a concept of what that group does. So if it would be okay with you, Mr. Smith, I'd like to be able to put an outline together, to put that group together to present it at the next meeting and kind of have an outline of what our goals and to accomplish and timelines. And then also make sure that I have parameters from the entire commission of what they would like us to accomplish.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. Questions or discussion? on that?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Tomer.
I'm not opposed to Commissioner Lloyd looking into this, but I presented a pretty broad range of alternatives last meeting. There were 5 alternatives presented when we discussed paying CLG dues. And I think it would behoove the commission to become more familiar with what is happening currently than to try to reinvent the wheel, because this has been an 18-year process with a 501c3. Connie Brooks is the lawyer that helped develop our federal plan. She's been involved since the inception of this and has the history of our area and has now retired. But Danielle Betancourt of Fairfield and Woods has been preparing the comments for the Coalition of Local Governments. At the last meeting, Roy, just to assist with what you're saying about the Zoom meetings, I know it's confusing sometimes to be able to listen in, but I've asked them to rearrange the agenda so that the legal team is on the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. Then at the end of the meeting, we can have an educational discussion amongst the consultants and the members who attend. I would also say to Mr. Commissioner Lloyd, rather than looking at the opponents of CLG and interviewing them, maybe some more time should be spent interviewing the 8 members who are currently in CLG. Also, we have private funding that we receive, and we receive the governor's federal natural resource policy account funding. So we are leveraging our $35,000 dues to about a $200,000 budget. So that is why I've been strongly in support of the coalition. I don't want to have the county have to pay the full burden of funding. We are at a critical stage right now with the federal agencies and with our federal plan in place. That Rock Springs BLM resource management plan is coming out. And probably we will be in a position to want to protest some of the decisions that may be made. Ashley National Forest is having 2 deep dive meetings on June 16th and 17th for their plan. Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area is just starting through their planning process. There are severe structural infrastructure issues. It's not a time to be switching horses is all I can say at this time.
Thank you. Other comments or?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
question for Commissioner Toman. Commissioner Toman, weren't you one of the original, I hate to use the word creators, but that sounds
Founding
good.
members?
Huh?
Founders?
Founders
Yeah.
of CLG, is that correct?
Yes, Commissioner
you.
Oldfield was also from this commission, helped to
Oh,
form
but
that.
you
at our
you
first-
personally were one of the
Yes.
co-founders. Thank you. That's
And I've
all I
been,
need.
and
That's
I've
all I
been
need to
an
know.
officer the full
Point of order,
time,
Mr. Commissioner.
but I
Mr.
stepped
Chairman.
out of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would support Commissioner Lloyd's request only from the standpoint that I think he could be able to look at it. Nobody's saying it needs to be changed. Just look at options. And with Eric and Mark Cott aboard, that, if they happen to come aboard, I think that would provide some outlook with it if Eric has time. But anyhow, I just think being a co-founder, as I've been reminded in the past, sometimes I'm too personally involved in some things. I think maybe as a co-founder, somebody may be too personally involved and at what point is it a conflict of interest as well. So I think Mr. Lloyd's onto something, and doesn't mean anything has to change. Just take a viable look. And I think Commissioner Lloyd, one of the other things would be is to request a 5 to 10 year, whatever that small group would request, is what has been the county's investment, not only from the county, but all the counties. What kind of money's been invested into CLG over the 5 to 10 years? And what's been that return? So I think that's an important part of it. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Wendling. Commissioner Shanefield, any thoughts?
I support Commissioner Lloyd's plan moving forward.
Thank
Looking forward
you.
to hear back.
Good.
Mr. Chairman,
I will say then, Mr. Lloyd, that yeah, information is good, and there's nothing wrong with that, and we appreciate your willingness to take the time to look at it again. So I'm all for it as well.
Just, and one more final comment.
Hold on, Mr. Commissioner Lloyd.
Okay, very good.
First.
Thanks.
I want to make it clear to Commissioner Toman. She did give us an outline of concepts that this group can take a look at, and we will take a look at that. And I think one thing this commission, whether we've been liked for it or not, or we've always even agreed for it, we've been willing to look at options and take a look at things that have been longstanding to say, why do we do those things? And in some cases, we've agreed to move forward and continue those things, and that may be the case of CLG. But unless you look and take a look at an evaluation of something, how do you know if it's really the most effective? And it may be, like I said, but we have to take a look. I do think it's, since it was brought up as a commission, we owe it to our constituents to at least take a look to find out what our best options are.
Thank you. Commissioner Wendling?
Yeah, thank you. I would like to say Commissioner Toman's exactly right when she made great headways in clearing up those meetings so they would run a lot smoother, because she identified the fact on Zoom and that there was quite a inability to, as well as those meetings will run based on who the participants are. And she's done a good job to bring that in. So, you know, you can listen to a Zoom meeting now and still go there, but at the same token, there's still a lot of talk over crossing that you can't hear, but yet you can still get the gist of it when you read the minutes and that type of thing. So that it's gotten better, but I don't think that's the issue as much as it's just, hey, let's see what our options are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Commissioner Lloyd, then could you, I don't know if you have already kind of a timeline, what you, when you feel like you could report back to us and
Well, I may only have 6.5 months. So with that being said, I'd like to,
amen, brother.
I'd like to make sure it's done before then, but I'd like to, before I give that timeline, I think it would be important to maybe have an initial talk with Eric and see if Mark would be willing to help and assist in this process. Last time I talked to Mark, he was headed to the Boundary Waters. So I want to make sure he's back and he's, he would be willing and he, to me, he was just an outside resource that made a lot of sense to me in this journey. So, so I would say, I'd like to be able to say, I'll report at least, give an initial report at the beginning of the first meeting in July. And at that point, be able to give a concept of how long I think it will take.
Excellent. Thank you. That's what I just don't want it to go on for forever. So,
like I said, I may only have 6.5 months. So
it might not be forever, right?
So.
Excellent. Thank you. Then I think you have your direction on that. Our next item is tab U, the specific purpose tax county projects. We may need to go into executive session for that, for a portion of that, not all of it. So I would recommend, if it's okay with the commission, to skip over to tab V, our scholarship renewal. And we can have those together.
Chairman, clarification.
Sure.
And I just, you know, why would we have to go into executive session? Help me out.
Help me out.
It's,
Commissioner
there's a
Shanefield brought it to me
contract
during
that
the-
could potentially affect, it hasn't been signed yet, so it's not open to the public yet. It's still in negotiation, but it could potentially affect our consideration of what projects we want to put on the ballot. It'll be a very brief discussion around that very specifically.
A brief, and then we can, okay,
then
but by
we'll
the
go-
time we end this,
Oh, yeah. It'll all be
okay,
public.
okay, I just, all right, yeah, okay, it sounds, this is, you know, this is one of those topics that we want to keep us.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you what,
Totally
it'll
with
make
you.
or break it, people.
Yeah. So I think we'll be able to put those together with our executive session. So unless there's any objection, I would like to look at tab V in our scholarship renewal.
Sounds good.
Is that okay? So tab V, scholarship renewal.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to I'd like to make a motion that Kelsey Angelovic be who was the recipient last year, be considered for the renewal scholarship this year.
I will second that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just want to, Mr. Chairman, I want to congratulate Miss Angelovic on a first year of school, and I'd say she's representing us well.
Doing very well.
Very well. Now, Roy, she's a Green River girl, right?
Absolutely, Doc.
Thank you.
Of course she is. Thanks for pointing that out. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed, nay. Thank you. Then we
Um,
will move on to our tab U, specific purpose tax county projects. And Commissioner Shanefield, let's roll it over to you.
Absolutely. I suggest we go into executive to very briefly discuss that, and then we can come out and discuss the remaining projects and what the pleasure is of the commission moving forward.
Okay.
How long will that take, do you think?
Maybe 5 minutes,
5
10.
minutes, okay.
We can take a
I was
break
thinking
first.
3.
Well, the thing is this is scheduled to go on at 10:55. There may be people who may just get on YouTube just to see that alone.
We'll be back in action by
I
about
would say now would
10:55.
be a good time to go into executive session and get back in here. So we not only consider the public in the room, but the public on YouTube.
Can do.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you. We will go into executive session for a few minutes. Thank you. We will slowly come out of executive session and 'cause we're just a minute or two early on our agenda.
You know, hang on a second. The gentleman that's been here with the brown shirt in the chamber, he's outside and he really wanted to have a conversation. We need to let him know to come in.
We'll hang on then for just a second.
Thank you.
And I did ask Candy if the hospital was planning on being here, and they're not planning on being here. They just sent their letter. So we don't need to worry about that.
Irene texted me this morning and asked if she should come, and I said, we're going to talk about you whether you're here or not. So it's your choice, whether you want to come or not.
Okay. Agreed. Ready?
Ready? Just waiting one more minute, or not even that long, just to make sure. No, sorry, we're just waiting to get a little more on schedule to make sure anybody that wanted to watch or join on Zoom would be able to and not jump the gun. So I think we can get rolling though. Commissioner Shanefield.
Absolutely. So the purpose of our discussion today is to look at the potential county projects for the specific purpose tax. We did just have a brief discussion in executive session in regard to contract for one of these requests. And so I have put together some different options, and we did receive a letter from Memorial Hospital of Sweetwater County in regard to the lab expansion proposal. And so as we know, the committee has requested from all entities and the commission in the last meeting that they break their requests, their project requests down to infrastructure, basic infrastructure only. And so we as the county have 5 requests in front of us. The first is the hospital lab expansion at $6.2 million. The second is an events complex water line expansion at 1.2 million. The third is a Castle Rock ambulance. They've requested 7 ambulances for their ambulance services at 2.14 million. The next is the North Rock Springs Water and Sewer District. Their request is 6.2 million, and the Jamestown Rio Vista Water and Sewer District is at 12 million for their full request. And so I have put together a few different options. We absolutely do not have to go with any of these 4, but I put them together just as discussion points. And I would like to open it up for comments. I know Commissioner Wendling had a few comments that he would like to share, and so I'd like to open it up to that conversation first.
Could I ask first, is 21.74, is that our percentage, or what is our max?
So the percentage that we allotted ourselves for the flexible amount was the 25.57%. And that is 18.2 million.
Thank you.
Very good.
Commissioner Wendling.
Thank you. Yeah, as I look at the list, first of all, let me say that of all the meetings that I've been attended, the public ones, and sat in on, of course, ours, and tried to listen carefully. I may have missed some stuff, I don't know, but I think there was a real emphasis from the committee, as well as from leadership, as well as the community. So I don't know who else we're missing, that this specific purpose tax focus entirely on infrastructure. And I think at our last public meeting up to college, what I was hearing is a more or less a promise to the community that it would be infrastructure, as well as I believe our conversations, and I'll stand corrected, but because we've had a lot of them, but anyhow, infrastructure, to me, infrastructure are roads, water and sewer, and storm sewer, and that type of thing. So as I look at our list, I don't believe ambulance is infrastructure. To me, and where we put it, even let's just say if we were doing our own budget, we'd probably put ambulances as a high cost vehicle, and that would come under capital. Also, it's hard on me one way or another to look at the hospital lab expansion. I know we got a letter from them and a real effort to move forward with that, but I still struggle, as even though I know how important it is to them, if that's really infrastructure. I don't want to take a risk on any project sinking good infrastructure projects because the voters start a campaign or a political party starting a campaign that's saying, hey, they didn't tell us the truth. So I tell you what, if we're going to stay infrastructure, I honestly believe, from my standpoint, my belief, and I hope I don't need any surgeries over the next 6 years. But I really think we need to work with the hospital to find another way to get that lab extension done. And I definitely believe we need to pull the Castle Rock ambulances. And I think if we do that, that brings that down 8.4 million, which means now we're asking for, no, 20, it brings us down to about 13-14 million dollars. Is that right? If you look at option one.
So you're saying remove the
6.2 and the 2.14. The Castle Rock, not that one, go up one. Yeah, about $13.5 million for the county.
So
And
this has half of Jamestown Rio Vista in it.
Oh, I would move that back up because yeah, that's what sorry, I didn't see that. That's what I think those are been hanging out there for years and they need to be taken care of. Also on the events complex, I just saw that one. I know someone else may talk to it, but I believe we gave them some money through the horse racing and through their efforts through grants. You could remove that 1.2 for the events complex.
So that puts us at option 2.
Is that what that puts
Yep,
us?
that's
Okay.
what option 2. So option 2 has the two basic, the North Rock Springs Water and Sewer and the Jamestown Rio Vista Water and Sewer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyhow, those are my reasonings. I guess the options there, those are my reasonings.
In the events complex, water line, there are options for ARPA funding, and they are working with Christina to potentially put in for that funding option as well. The other thing that I think is a good point to note on that is ARPA funding for water. It is tied to clean drinking water, to economic development, to all of those things that this water line would do. And it's not a huge amount of money. So the amount of money that's in the water fund currently with the state through ARPA, it's not very much money. And so these smaller projects will go a long way. So that I agree with that.
That's just where I'm at. You guys have a conversation now. Thank you.
So would the North Rock Springs and the Jamestown also be good candidates for that ARPA water funding?
So the North Rock Springs is water and sewer and Jamestown is water and sewer. It is definitely potentials. The potential to have them fully funded is probably lower just because of the amount of the projects. Jamestown Water and Sewer is already on the list for the state water development, they have an ongoing list that they run funding through. And they are already on that list. They do have, and both of these projects are shovel ready and do have the studies completed and everything ready to move forward with. So that's promising as well.
I'll say that I'm in support of those, and having had a conversation with Taylor Jones and with Irene Richardson, I'm a little more open to the discussion of lab expansion being on the ballot as well. But
Yeah.
but I completely see
Well,
Doc's under our point as well.
Well, the other option, as you just said, on the ballot as well, you could make it standalone.
Sure. Yeah,
And people can say yay or nay and put the other stuff all in the water sewer.
that's true.
So that would lead us to option 4, which my point of discussion with option 4 is that the hospital lab would be on there potentially, and you could make it standalone. And then you have North Rock Springs Water and Sewer, and then you have Jamestown Water and Sewer as half, and requiring them and supporting them through the SLIB process through ARPA funding would be probably another part of, so that they could partner with Loves out there and request some assistance from Loves for that 12 million. And we could also require them and support them through the request process through the state SLIB opportunity for ARPA coming up. So there's definitely opportunity there for them as well. And that puts us at the 18.4, where option 2 is 18.2.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I don't have any issues with it at all. Mr. Chairman, please. I'm sorry. The thing that worries me about the Jamestown water thing, and this is just throwing it out there, is that is one of the major opportunities for the city of Green River in economic development and expansion for industry / business / housing that they have going west of town. And it just will delay things if we wait for grants and stuff like that, just so we're prepared for that.
Could I make, and I'm splitting hairs maybe, but there is HHS capital construction money, ARPA funding. SLIB's meeting on the 13th to approve the draft rules, taking applications starting July 1st. I hate to do this, but encourage the hospital to apply for those, because that's actually directly in competition with the application that I will be submitting for that same money. But maybe we do, because it is a 50% match. So if we move 3 million of that over to the Jamestown and make it a 3.1 hospital lab, and I don't know if we go halves, is 9 million going to get the job done for Jamestown?
Well,
I'd hate to say I have 9 million, but that we still can't get the project done.
Well, what it will do is if you take a look at your grant applications, the more skin in the game, the better chance you have to get the balance.
yes.
So I think what you're proposing is great. And then the other aspect of the hospital lab extension is, the ARPA money we get that we have sitting, plus the PILT that comes in, we've got to find ways to make that permanent investment. And maybe that will benefit the citizens of Sweetwater County. And maybe they do the application, and if there's anything left, the ARPA money we could earmark to help them. That's just food for thought. I mean, throw all the ideas out, whatever you're thinking. Right now, this is a time to do it.
It is.
I mean, there's things there. We just got to think about it.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. Just to be able to get my thoughts out there too, if that's okay.
No.
Wow. Can I get 80% of my thoughts out?
Yeah, 80%.
Okay. I do agree with the council. First of all, before I make these comments, I want to be honest that these are all good projects in their own concept. And when we look at this, we have to look at it as if we put this concept out there, will it pass? Because I think one thing we have to discuss is if we put another tax option that fells out for the second consecutive year, how long is it going to be before we have voter trust to move forward? And I'll be honest, I'm apprehensive in general, even though I see merit in every one of these projects, about what we put on the ballot, because Commissioner Wendling's talked about some of the results and the conversations that have happened from the poll and some of the meetings. In just conversation with constituents, there's a great number that I don't think will pass this tax, whether we have great projects or not now. So I think it's a tight vote to get through. So if we're going to put something through, we have to make sure it's very tangible. It's got to be something the voters see as important, and it's something that they can see how it impacts their life on a positive concept every day. And that's roads, sewer, and those things. So with that being said, I struggle with moving forward with the Castle Rock ambulances. I actually had a constituent that called me and said, if you pass that, you might as well, the next time a company like SNL does road work, give them front end loaders, was the way they put it. I don't know if I necessarily agree on that level, but I do think that's something that we should hold on. The events complex water line, I don't think we should move forward for, because when people were talking infrastructure, I think they were talking more in the bigger community sense, not just the small sense of the events complex. Though I do support the events complex, I don't think we should have that on there. The last time we looked at Sixpenny, I was opposed to the North Rock Springs water and sewer, and also Jamestown water and sewer, just because I kind of felt people chose to live in those areas. That was part of the piece there. And I also believe we could open a Pandora's box for every water district and every special district to eventually want Sixpenny tax. But one of my struggles on that now is the Jamestown Water and Sewer District, because I also believe that it is not just for Green River, but for the county of Sweetwater, one of our greatest chances for development and moving forward in our community. And so I don't look at that just as a water project. I look at that as an infrastructure project that can actually grow our community. And so that's something I look at, but I still do struggle with water projects in general. And then the last would be the hospital expansion. And I also had a similar conversation with Taylor Jones, and even though a community has to have a hospital, and so I'm up in the air at this point on the hospital. But I think in general, just to put it out there, I'm apprehensive about putting much out there of anything, because I just don't think we're going to see it pass, and that could have a bigger damaging impact in the long run than anything. So just throwing those comments out there.
Commissioner Tillman, what do you have?
Well, I would support option 4 the most of any of those, but I'm still very apprehensive about going forward with the tax. I guess it's up to the voters again to decide if they want to approve it or not, but it's tough times. If we look at fuel at $10 a gallon by the summer's end, I don't know how much the taxpayers will support.
Can I make a comment about that?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So I think our responsibility as county commissioners right now is we have every single municipality coming forward. We have, all of these additional county entities coming forward requesting. And so we know there's a need. I believe it is our responsibility. We've now had 6 months of discussion. We've had 2 stakeholder meetings. We've had 1 public meeting. We've done a survey. We've done our due diligence to find out what, if anything, the public wants to see on the ballot. And it's our responsibility to make a selection of what we've heard from these inputs from our community, in responsiveness to all of the municipalities that are requesting and that are supportive of having this, and let the taxpayers make a decision on what they want and if they want it or not. I think that, we as the county commission overall, we can say, well, we might agree with it, we might not agree with it, but we also have a responsibility to work with the municipalities through all of these projects and supporting them, saying, we have a need, let's see what we can do. And so I don't want to say, yes, it's going to pass. No, it's not going to pass. I do want to say that it is our responsibility to give the taxpayers the opportunity to make a decision on this and to take their input that we have for the last 6 months and spent a lot of due diligence, a lot of conversations, all of us regarding this specifically. And so that's kind of where I am at in general with that.
What, so we're just discussing today and then we need to take action.
We need to
later?
take action today.
Of what our portion
Yes.
would be. Okay. Then I think our feelings have been expressed. I'll entertain a motion then to one of the options. Or to something else.
Just a minute. I want,
Yes, you may.
make sure.
Just introduce yourself if you would, who you're representing.
Hey, I'm Wendell Minkler. I'm 70. Live in Rock Springs for 12 years. I've been involved with county commission and city stuff in the past life.
A little more on the microphone, she's saying. Oh, sorry, it wasn't you, it was Lauren after all.
There we go.
Thank you. We're in a bad inflation period. You're adding to inflation. I think you ought to be ashamed of yourself to just start with. The hospital, watching what they did with COVID, I know a lot of people have no respect for the hospital right now. So I would think that really needs to be addressed. I would love to talk to the commissioner. I've called several times. He never returns his call. I'd like to sit down and discuss it with him. Sewer and water, absolutely. I'm all in favor of mainly water. I'd like to get rid of the sewer, of course. That is infrastructure. Shuffling stuff around, like you just mentioned a minute ago, taking money out of one bracket over to another is, my respect is low. That's all. This is inflation time. It's going to run its course. You're spending a lot of money now, higher than you would down the road, most likely. Who knows? If you've done it last year, it would have been a lot cheaper. So that's all I can say about that. But inflation, the price of money, projects, man, I know you have to do things, but the timing is not good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for your comments and for waiting patiently through our whole meeting to visit with us today. We appreciate that. So commissioners.
Lauren, will you put the list back up, please?
There you go.
Thank you. Let me look at it one more time. Get rid of that one.
I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I will make a motion for option 2 for the county to support, which is the North Rock Springs Water and Sewer at 6.2 million and Jamestown Rio Vista Water and Sewer at 12 million.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Wendler.
as I look at that, I'd like to incorporate and amend the motion to change Jamestown Water and Sewer from 12 to 9 million. Put skin in the game and let's do a little work with them, save our taxpayers some money there.
Okay, we have an amendment to the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any discussion regarding the amendment to the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, so
So passes.
now we're
And
back to the motion.
the original motion.
15-2.
Correct. That's what I'm on.
Okay, then I would also like to amend the motion, Mr. Chairman, to include that we've dropped our cap considerably and that will, money does not get moved to any other city or town, so that will bring it down below 85. Does that make sense, Sally? The motion? Can you write that up? Okay.
So that would drop us about 3 million.
78.96 would be the total recommended amount that it would lower that amount.
Okay.
Because we lowered ours.
Bring it more down around that 80.
Okay, so is that an amendment to the motion that happens, or are you just stating that you would like that not distributed elsewhere if we approve this motion?
I think it's got to be part of the motion.
I agree.
Okay, so
I'll second.
thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Thank you. So that passes. Back to the original motion. Option 2. Do we need to adjust the amounts now? We've done that in amendment, so
Yeah, I don't think we do. I think it just move forward.
move forward. Okay. All those there's any more discussion?
You might want to, in that motion, say the specific amounts and total for those projects.
So we have an amended motion for option 2, North Rock Springs Water and Sewer, sponsoring at $6.2 million, and Jamestown Water and Sewer sponsoring at $9 million for a $15.2 million total. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. All right.
I will send them to you.
You got more marching orders then. Is now a time to discuss about the ballot, the way it's going to be laid out, or is that still in the committee?
Only
being worked through?
input that I would like is around bonding. We have a few ballot options. I just needed confirmation on what the projects for the county were going to be. I have that for every other municipality. I would just like input around bonding. There has been discussion around bonding in our committee meetings. And the discussion in general has been that the entities don't want to spend any additional money on the bonding percentage. However, they're also concerned about the small communities being able to complete their projects in a timely manner, because it gets distributed, whether you bond or not, it gets distributed to each individual entity every month that it comes in.
Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Shanefield, do we have to bond the whole project, or can we just bond parts of it?
So you can bond parts of it, but the initial part gets distributed as the bonded part across the board. So that is an option. That's something that the City of Rock Springs and the City of Green River have been discussing, because their portions are small, like one street at a time. And so the other conversation that has been brought up is that if we bond, can we even get the labor and the contractors into the communities to do the work in the first 2 years because of how crazy, supply chain and everything else has been. So the other thing that we have to remember too is if we bond, we can also earn money, which is probably, the investment is probably more than we would be paying out on the bonding. If you put it into an investment account, it will earn more money than the bonded amount, the percentage amount for the bonding would cost. And so you're actually earning money on what you're bonding until those things are available. So, I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics in regard to that. I just wanted input from this group if there is any currently, and then we can also have we can do a few different ballot proposals, which is what the next task is, to get that ballot language. We can include one bonding and one non-bonding, and we will be having a committee meeting, which maybe we want to make that an intergovernmental meeting instead, and have Alan Matzloff come and talk about bonding and the different options that we have available to us so that everybody can be on the same page.
How soon do we need to make well, we almost have to have it done because of the proposition.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Yep. So I think that the proposition, I think we can have a few different ballot options that include and then don't include bonding options in there. And we can make that decision at the next meeting then to go in front of the municipalities to vote on.
Thank you. So any more work to be done today? Commissioner
I
Thomas?
just have a question. Does the bonding then allow us to spend the money after the 5 years? If
No,
the project can't be done by the end of that time?
The bonding doesn't, but you can. If you can't get the projects done, you stop collecting the money when you reach the amount that you.
Oh, okay, but
that
you don't have to have it
collected.
spent by that time.
No.
No, if the sales tax on that one penny dropped in half, 50%, then you would just extend it longer.
Oh, until you
It's
hit the-
automatic.
hit the
It's,
total,
yeah,
okay.
it's not-
And vice versa. So if our income continues to go up, we've projected this
Oh.
based off of 17 million annually. And so it is very likely that we will collect more than that this year, which will cut the time of this, the length of this tax down too.
Okay.
So it goes either way.
and one more,
Based on the total amount of
Yes.
money
Dollar amount,
collected.
not
yeah.
time.
and one more thought, and I'm sure the committee's thought about that as you work with our esteemed county attorney's office, is that it's got to be spelled out what it's for, I believe. And also if there's any overrun, how that's going to be spent. And we don't want to ignore that because that can be considerable when you take a look at the CDC building from years ago.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So do you need us to tell you bonding or no bonding right now, or just leave it open so you guys can?
Leave it open. Are you guys open to doing an intergovernmental meeting potentially next week to get more information on bonding? Is that something you'd be interested in?
Interested slightly, but would I do it? Yeah,
Well, then we would make the decision at our next commission meeting.
we can do it next week.
Okay.
If,
I'll work on
if the
getting it.
city's.
Hang on a minute. Get somebody in the chambers.
Hello, Todd.
Come on up.
I just want to comment on the bonding. I was the treasurer of the last joint powers board for 6 Penny, and everybody said that the projects were urgent, that were going to need to be done up front, and almost none of them were. And for something only 15.2 million, like you said, it's all going to be collected in 1 year. The fees you're going to pay up front just to get the bonds in place. And to me, it doesn't make sense to
So the
bond.
15.2 is only the county portion. The total amount is around 79
Okay.
million. So, but point
Yeah.
taken.
Okay, well then, in that case, you'd really have to see what's urgent and what's not. But everybody says the projects are urgent, they need the money up front, and then 5 years down the road, they still haven't spent it. So we paid all this interest to do the bonds, and now with this interest rate environment, it makes even less sense. It makes more sense to collect the monies that comes in and make interest on it instead of paying out. And it's not just the interest on the bonds, it's the fees to get the bonds in place.
Yeah.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks.
Very good. Then we're complete there. All right.
Thank you.
Then we go into executive session. We have some contracts and real estate to discuss. So I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Be an executive session. Boy, I don't know. Half hour? Is that a good guess, maybe? Something like that. I imagine we will have action coming out, so. Yeah. I hope we have action.